Hey there. So tonight we'll be shaving with this Nacet blade again. We are on the home stretch to 150 shaves. And today is shave 146. I've already put it in my Sheraton and I took out some polish and I polished up the top of the head there. So it kind of looks a little off, but that's okay. It'll probably get that patina back again. And there's the Nacet. And again, I don't think the Nacet is a magic blade, maybe. Unless I've just lucked upon it. It's the first one that I had good results with it last year, right before August. Austere August is where we use the same gear throughout the whole month. Some of us, online folks. And I just decided, hey, it's a little known blade. I don't see it too much around online, and it does really well for me. It's not too expensive, so I'll just keep using it, and I haven't stopped. I even created a Google form with a spreadsheet for people to enter when they pitch a blade, if they pitch it at a higher count, and then you can put the reason why. And it's kind of neat to watch that happen, but I've never posted to it because I haven't thrown away a blade. All right. So Williams soap is the soap of today. We've got the little puck right in there. I put 2.5 teaspoons of water on it to soak. I put that specific amount because I'm gonna, instead of just dumping that bloom water down the drain, I'm gonna pour that into my lather bowl. And so it's gonna be conserved, and that extra wetness, the juicy soapiness is gonna be preserved. The soap for today has been, the brush is a Stirling Boar brush, 24 millimeter, and it has got plenty of backbone still. It's not super comfortable, not comfortable yet, but it's kind of enjoyable and scrubby, and it's got lots of fibers, and so that helps out. I love this little handle, very ergonomic despite its somewhat small height. And so I'm going to put that back in the soak water that it was soaking in earlier. Took it out to take the kind of picture. All right, I'll splash my face with a little bit. Hard water is what I have, and it is lukewarm / cool, as our temperatures these days are getting a little warmer. All right, I think we're ready to go. Okay, so we're going to take the brush and going to shake a good bit of the water out. And then I'm going to take this bloom water, pour it into my lather bowl. And this just accelerates the loading process. You don't have to soak Williams ahead of time. It just means you have to load for less time. And I like to let it soak while I prep other things. So it soaks for several minutes. All right, so 20-second load is what I have enjoyed in the past and found to be a nice balance. So watch the clock here, and we'll start at the 40-second count. Just kind of moderate pressure. This is a Hazel Atlas vintage shave mug. And let's just see if that right there is enough. Okay, so I'm going to put that brush in my lather bowl, and I'm going to rinse this out a little bit. Wife's doing some redecorating in another bathroom, so my artwork is gone. Might have to find something cooler, more manly than whatever was there before. I think it was just a generic bathroom type photo. So now we have that water. We have this brush. We'll start mixing. And one thing to remember with Williams is that initially, and this is something common with other soaps as well, you'll get this very bubbly, airy, early lather. Don't pay any attention to it, just keep mixing. And it doesn't really matter. I've got this cool lather bowl that has ridges, and they probably help to speed up lather generation a little bit. For a very long time, I just used a soup bowl from the Dollar Tree. Had the right dimensions, and to me that's more important. You know, my favorite feature of this bowl, okay, I'm going to say two favorite features, are not actually the ridges, but I like the brush rest. I don't have to try to sit my brush on it on its end. I also like the inturned lip up here, so that it makes it harder for the lather to escape. Easy to keep it contained. This handle is getting a little slippery, so I'm going to rinse it off. And this is the current version of Williams. It's not the vintage one. I think someone said maybe in 2005, roughly, is when they switched the formula. The older formula is contains more tallow, and so the lathers just are nice and creamy, very enjoyable. Now already we've got something that resembles a better lather than probably a lot of people think you can get from Williams. Look at that. I think that's still a little bit too dry. Let's add a little bit more water. I did the same 20-second load a while back after several minutes of soaking, just like I talked about. And I added 2.5 teaspoons of water on top of the puck, you know, to soak it. And I poured that into the bowl, and I got an extra 2 passes of lather. And then I believe, just like I added just now, 1 teaspoon of water gave me an extra 2 passes of lather, and it was enjoyable. Now, sometimes when I am mixing a lather like this, with this type of motion, you don't necessarily get to see the lather in good form sometimes, and so especially with a boar. This is a young guy. He's just like 12 uses old, so it's okay if he loses a bristle or 10 while he's this young per shave. But to get a better idea about what the lather looks like, the viscosity, I do kind of a punch down method. It's not splaying very much when it hits the bottom. The main thing is, you think of it almost like shoving the lather into the brush, and then you can kind of see the peaks. You can see it change in terms of viscosity to kind of be more, to tell you more about itself. Let's put it that way. Okay, I'm gonna kind of haul it all up here. Look at that elasticity there. Pretty cool. I think we're probably in a good place. Just gonna mix for a little while longer. Go for a little longer and usually end up with a more viscous, creamy mix with Williams, it seems. It's a hard soap, and a puck usually lasts me 2 months. So in case you need that info, there you go. Not too bad for like $1.20 from the store, right? And it's slick as snot, even the new stuff. All right, so I think we're gonna go with that. Mix. And yeah, I can feel that slickness here as I rinse my hand. Throw a little water on my face here. Now, Williams may not necessarily have the post-shave features, attributes, benefits that some of the top tier soaps do. But I don't really care about that because that's why God made balms and post-shave lotions and things like that. So yeah, this brush, scrubby for sure. Not prickly at all. No scritch. But it is kind of aggressively scrubby enough to where if you were using an aggressive razor that maybe has a tendency to rough up your skin just a little bit, you may want to wait until you break this guy in a little better before you bring him in, because he could contribute to a little bit of that irritation and skin burn. Lather looks great. And the slickness of this soap rivals anything. It really does to me. It's just so slick. Yep. Razor just easily moving across my skin. Now, there are lots of people who want to get on Williams' case and say it's just too hard to make a good lather. Well, maybe it's too hard for them. Maybe they just haven't learned the right way. Maybe they don't know that tip about just keep mixing even though it kind of bubbles up and foams up. Keep mixing. Or maybe they're the kind of shaver who doesn't have the time. They want to lather up in about 90 seconds. And that's okay. But that's definitely not Williams' forte. And there we go, first pass down. We'll half rinse now. And so again, I'm gonna kind of punch down into the lather. We can kind of look at it there. Don't have to do too much splay work or scrubbing because we've kind of already done that on the first pass, but so we'll switch to the painting motions fairly quickly. Face lathering, Williams, sometimes will yield you better results more quickly. It took me a while to figure out a good method with the bowl, because your face you can tell when it gets creamy and enjoyable, and all you have to do is just keep going, keep mixing. All right, cross grain now. Yep, nice glide. And that there is an area where I have to be really careful, but the slickness was giving me really nice protection and letting me Just zip around in that area without a problem. All right, second down. All right, third pass. Load it up. So my smogs that are in my borathon that I'm doing right now, I've got 7 brushes that I'm evaluating, and they're all growing at the same time. I'm cycling through each one, so they're all in their 12th use. My Smogue's broken much more quickly than my Omega Pro 98 or this Stirling. The Zenith broken kind of like the Smogue's. Very nice, very quick, comfy, and usable fairly early. This has taken longer, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means it's got hardier bristles. I may appreciate that in 6 months. Maybe I'll find the other ones a little too floppy or something like that. We'll see what happens. But these tips need to split to make it more comfy and soft. And it just needs time and uses to do that, and wet and drying cycles. And in my borathon here, I am introducing a slight break-in technique of soaking it for maybe an hour or 3 hours, somewhere in that range before each use. Third pass. Just lightly holding the razor. This old blade, I do the blade buffing like this, where I kind of go over the same area a couple of times, and you've got to have a decent soap to be able to do that. I'm having nice, enjoyable, super slick rinses between these passes. I just wouldn't have a problem if Williams was my only soap. Sure, I'd miss other cool scents, but it's a good soap. It's enjoyable, and it doesn't really take too much to make it work for you. And I like to shave with it just to kind of show people that. It's a hard puck, and so if you ever need to put it in a different size container, like right now, this particular mug that I have fits that puck perfectly. It's probably made for it. Or at least it was probably made at a time where that puck size was common, like the Williams is, and so they are compatible. But it's a hard puck. Some people use that puck as a stick, so they'll wet their face, they'll wet an edge of the soap puck, and just rub that over their face for a while, and then go about face lathering with a wet brush, and whatever they put on their face from that stick operation becomes their lather, and so they've had great success with that. I don't really like that type of idea, so I just enjoy doing the bowl lathering. And as long as you have a well-hydrated lather, I find that Williams is not irritating or itchy or anything like that, and I could actually go without a post-shave treatment or moisturizer or anything like that. One time I did make it very dry. Did not have enough water by far, and I felt a popping, like bubbles were popping on my face. You know, it made me very itchy and dry. Well, that's because my ratios were off. Now, after 146 uses, am I getting close shave still? Yeah, I really am. I don't see any length on any of my hairs in my trouble spot here. Everywhere else is just excellent. These are north-south growth patterns. My neck grows sideways, and it's fairly easy to shave over here. No problems at all. Over here is where I have some swirls and some mix-ups. And so that's my trouble spot, right beside my Adam's apple. And but I've learned some of the angles to approach it with, and I get very good results now that I've figured that out. So really happy with the blade still. Don't know when this thing's going to quit. It might even make it to 200. I have no idea. But I'm going to stop at 150, enjoy some of my other razors for a while, and then we'll come back to the Nacet later on. So that's 3 passes, and I've got tons of lather still. And so the measurements I gave you, the times, the load times, you know, that's going to vary. If you got a really soft brush with maybe a smaller knot, you may need the 20 seconds and you'll get a little bit less lather because it doesn't stir up as much soap. You may need to bump it up to 30 seconds. You know, if you have something with a lot of scritch and a lot of backbone, and then maybe the 20 seconds will be just perfect for you. You might even have to reduce it to 15 seconds or something like that. Also, how long you soak it. And I just use lukewarm water to soak my puck, and I still have plenty of enjoyable lather. It is a delight. I've got hard water, so this is definitely a hard water tolerant soap. Feels really happy with it all the way around. The lather here is just very nice. And it's stable. It hasn't dissipated by the end of the shave, and I kind of take a while shaving here. It's been 18 minutes or so since this lather was created, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going to dry up anywhere near a reasonable amount of time. So it's a terrific soap. It's got a citronella scent, but I found that kind of goes away after the first couple of uses. It just isn't a big deal at all. The first time I used a puck, it was very strong the first maybe 1 or 2 uses, and I didn't really care for that strength of it. But very quickly it lost that intensity and switched down to something that resembled just a nice soapy scent, a classic soapy scent. And there we go. So I'm going to clean up. Sure enough, I put in 2.5 teaspoons of water on top of the soap to soak it, and then I put in an extra 1 teaspoon as I was mixing it up, and then I just kept mixing until it congealed and got the right viscosity. So 3.5 teaspoons is the water that I used. So here's this little guy all stropped in the towel right there, and he is slowly expanding and slowly splitting. Not too many split hairs on here yet. It could be that the other some of the other brushes, like the one the other day, I left for 18 hours or so to soak in the cup because of my weird sleeping schedule, and so I don't know if I've done that with this one or not. But anyway, he's going to come along. Might just take a little bit more time. Now, if I get to 40 uses and he's still kind of this way, being just scrubby but not yet super comfortable, I may switch into a more aggressive break-in method, but we'll see. We'll just keep watching him. He's still young. I mean, 12 uses is still really young. So he's got to, we'll leave plenty of room and plenty of grace for this little guy and the Omega. I just splashed a little bit of water on my face because it makes this Stirling balm a little bit easier to put on, take a little bit less time. This is Tuscany, and to me it kind of has like a wild cherry type scent, a little bit of fruit with something a little dark and spicy. Give it a little bit of maturity, interest. It's not just, I definitely don't feel like I have candy on my face. And it's a nice, comfortable scent to go to bed to, because that's where I'm headed after this. All right, there we go. Maybe this is kind of a riff on the Sella and the Velabra the other Italian makers that have a cherry or a marzipan type, almond type scent. Maybe that's kind of what they're going at with the Italian name of Tuscany. But I got a sample of it and I liked it, so I bought that balm. Actually, that's one of the, maybe the only balm that I've ever purchased that was brand new, at least by an artisan. It wasn't the Nivea balm that you can get at Walmart, which is a good product, by the way. All right, I'm gonna keep cleaning up. Well, that was an enjoyable shave. The Williams is always a fun one to return to. A little bit of history there. It just smells like shaves gone by of your granddad, that sort of thing. This one was from a request from one of my YouTube viewers. Asked me to do more Williams videos. I've already got a couple, several I believe, in the books. And here's another one. I always like to, sometimes when people remind me of good soaps that I've just enjoyed in the past, it's easy to jump back in and throw them into the mix. So I enjoy that. I think we're all put away, enjoying a good shave, really happy with it. No irritation or nicks or weepers or anything like that. I don't even see any redness. Nice close result, so can't go wrong with that. So this Sheraton's doing me really well. It's a 1938 vintage Gillette. It happens to have the geometry that will allow this, for my skin at least, will allow this blade to work even though it's got so many uses on it. I don't think any other of the razors that I have in my collection would be nearly as comfortable. And some of them might just be totally unusable. I might have had to stop already. All right. Hope there was something here that helped you out. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Have a good night.